Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of That Movie Show. Mike Wendt and Eddie McCabe. Join us on Facebook, facebook.com/That Movie Show TV. We have the video version of the podcast. It's also on YouTube, and you can find the archives, links to the audio podcast. I mean, we're on every podcast app, but go to thatmovieshow.net for all of the fun shenanigans. Eddie, how you doing this week?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Not too bad. How's your quarantine going?
Oh, it's going.
It's still a thing.
It's still a thing. I'm still going stir crazy.
But it means we get to still watch action movies.
Yeah, it means we still get to watch action movies. So I've been watching a lot of very random things, whatever just kind of pops up. I pre-ordered HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the pre-order of HBO Max, you basically get HBO Now as like a holdover or whatever. And so it's like, okay, cool. That's fun. So I'm just like picking up weird things that are on there. Sucker Punch was on there, and I put myself through that torture.
Was that a Zack Snyder?
Yeah, that's a Zack Snyder movie. We're going to have to do that movie because I absolutely hate it. It might be the worst movie that I was the most anticipated to see.
Not Battlefield Earth.
Not Battlefield Earth.
Which is in the archives.
Which is in the archives. But Sucker Punch, because I was like pumped to see that movie when it came out. Because it looked like anime action, live action nonsense.
Okay.
And when done right, like if that was done right, it could have been awesome. And like some of the sequences in that movie are pretty cool. Mm-hmm. If you were to like just, how like sometimes on YouTube, they'll just have like clips of movies. And it's like, if you just watched that clip, it would be like, oh, this is a pretty dope movie. But it's the whole movie is hot garbage. And
so I've always felt about Zack Snyder in particular, but I'm using him as an example because every one of his movies come out and the theatrical cut is always met with like disdain. Yeah. And people are like, oh, but you got to see the director's cut. And even he has gone on, oh, you got to get the director's cut. It's like, if you can't put out a good movie into theaters, it's going to be very hard for me to go and purchase now, because most of the time you would have to get it on Blu-ray or DVD, a director's cut of your movie. Like if you put out a good movie, for example, we did The Expendables, and I enjoyed The Expendables in the theater, and then Stallone was like, I have a director's cut that I like more, and I'm like, I will watch that, and I did, and I enjoyed it. But if I'm like, well, that movie sucked, why am I going to watch a longer version of it?
Well, that's like Blade Runner. Like that is
Which one?
Right. And that's the most annoying thing about Blade Runner, is that it's like, that's the best sci-fi movie ever made, but you have to watch the extended, unrated second director's third dream cut. And it's just like, what? No.
Dream cut.
Yeah, no. That's no. If you have to tell me that I have to get that idol from Raiders of the Lost Ark and stand in the map room and put it in at a certain time in order for it to show me which cut I need to watch, it's not the best one.
No, absolutely not.
Like Empire Strikes Back, that's it. Like that's it.
Right, and I get it. There's a special edition, but they didn't change the movie.
Yeah, no, there isn't.
They didn't add narration or remove narration. I forget which one is the definitive Blade Runner, with narration or without narration. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. The super ultra dream Shepherd electric unicorn nonsense cut.
I have Blade Runner, I believe, on Blu-ray, definitely on DVD.
Right.
And I know the one I have literally says all 5 cuts of the movie. That's not an exaggeration. There are 5 different versions of that one movie in just the disc I have. I'm guessing there's more.
Right, of course.
It's like the other one that has kind of become like that is Apocalypse Now.
Yes.
There was Apocalypse Now. Then there was Apocalypse Now Redux.
Oh yeah.
And then
There's the In Hell version or something.
And the one I picked up only because it was literally like $13 at Best Buy. It's the only 4K Blu-ray I have.
Okay.
But it was Apocalypse Now, and I was walking through Best Buy back when you could do that, and I just saw it on the shelf, and it was like $13.99. I'm like, you know what? I don't own Apocalypse Now on Blu-ray.
Right.
And not only does it have Apocalypse Now and two or three other cuts of the movie, which, okay, fine. But more importantly, it has the documentary Hearts of Darkness on Blu-ray, which I was more interested in.
Yeah, of course.
It's because it was always, oh, you can get the Blu-ray and here's a bonus DVD of a shitty VHS rip of fucking Hearts of Darkness. I'm like, I don't want to sit through that. I want, I have a nice TV. I don't want no shitty quality fucking DVDs in there. So getting the 4K was nice. But yeah, getting back to the point, Zack Snyder, he's done it like on almost every movie.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's become a thing now with Justice League.
Yeah. And it's tough because, here's the thing. You're 100% right. If you can't release a theatrical, I believe, and I think that a lot of his movies fall victim to the idea of look, this movie needs to be 90 minutes to the T. And we're not releasing it in theaters unless it's 90 minutes.
Right.
And his movies clock in at 100 minutes. And they're like, no, cut out those 10 minutes. And we always inevitably lose something in one of his movies.
That's just movies, man.
Yeah. No, that's just movies. Because I believe here, if we're going to sit through Endgame and everybody's going to love Endgame, you know what I mean? And that movie was 3 hours long. Mm-hmm. Make the movie as long as the movie's going to be. We don't need, there should be minimums. You know what I mean?
Sure.
If it's under an hour, it goes on TV. If it's an hour to, an hour and a half, comedy. And then anything over that, but however long, if it clocks in at, 93 minutes, then it's 93 fucking minutes, right. And so that's how I feel about it. And that's my problem with Sucker Punch, and we will talk about that when we do Sucker Punch. But there's 3 different realities happening in that movie, and
I think that's more the Zack Snyder thing. It's less about length of time because he does generally, I mean, at least in the last generation of his movies, his superhero movies, which are never 90 minutes anyway, unless you're Deadpool. But it's more like he puts too much confusing shit in there.
Yeah, who's the guy that did Nip Tuck?
Ryan Murphy.
Yeah, Ryan Murphy has the same problem. He's the film version of Ryan Murphy, where it's like Ryan Murphy puts out one great season of a TV show, and then it just slowly goes downhill from there because he puts literally every idea that he has for the entirety of the show into that one season. And it's bananas, you know.
Almost felt because I loved the first season of Nip Tuck, and then I watched the next 7.
Right.
It's almost as if when he's making, and Ryan Murphy's a great example of that. When he's making a show, he's doing less storytelling and more. I need to one up last year.
Right.
It's how much weirder shit can we do? And now he's into American Horror Story with the anthology series, so he can definitely do that. He doesn't even have to have a linear storytelling.
Right, and that's what works for him. The anthologies work for him because he has one great idea or one great series of ideas, and American Horror Story allows him to just indulge in all of it. Right. Without having to, figure out how it ties into characters that you've had for 3 seasons. And that's the thing with Zack Snyder is especially Sucker Punch, where it's you had all these ideas and it's there's 3 movies here. There are 3 movies here and you mash them all up into one. And like I said, we'll deep dive into it, but I'm going to go into it because this thing makes me so fucking mad. The movie is about a girl who her mother was loaded, very, very wealthy. And her and her sister were living with her and she had a new boyfriend. And then the mother died and the mother left all of the money to the daughters. And the new boyfriend's stepdad was pissed. And so he was very abusive to the older one and basically was going to rape the younger one. So the older one, who's our main character, basically tries to murder him, but instead of shooting him, she shoots her sister.
Mhm.
So he puts her in a mental hospital and basically pays the guy that's in charge of this hospital like $1,000 to have her lobotomized. And so she's going to get lobotomized at the end of the week. And so she needs to escape. Right. And so that's the reality of the movie. And then from there, it switches to like these girls in a dance studio. And they're like in a dance studio, and the big high roller is gonna come, and when the big high roller comes, like you're basically gonna be used as a prostitute or something, and then they have to like steal these items in order to get out of it, and then whenever the one girl dances, she's so mesmerizing that it turns into these like fantastical like set pieces.
Mhm.
And that's where you get the like World War I with robots, and like you get the scene with the dragon and the knights and like all that weird nonsense.
Right.
It's like, and the reality that we spend the least amount of time in this movie is the one that is actually happening, where this girl is in a mental hospital about to be lobotomized, and it's like, what? Like, if there's a longer cut of this movie that explains what the fuck is happening, it's an incoherent mess. It's oh god, but I was so excited for it because
Had you seen it before this?
yeah, I so that was the thing. Is like I saw the stuff and it came out literally on my birthday one year.
Yeah.
And so like that, and it was like I was either 19 or 20. You will have to see when it comes, because I wasn't able to drink legally.
Uh-huh.
So this was the thing I was going to do for my birthday instead of like going out to a bar and getting hammered.
We're going to go see Sucker Punch.
I was going to go see Sucker Punch because I was fucking pumped to go see Sucker Punch. And then I watched it. It was garbage. And I was so mad. I felt very betrayed. You know, because at that
so yeah, okay, let me see here. So I just pulled it up. It was 2011, first of all.
Okay.
And then, yes, it was when it was released on Blu-ray, a R-rated extended cut was included, which added 18 minutes to the film.
Right. And so, like, that probably added the context, more context to this movie.
It also included 4 animated shorts based on the 4 fantasy scenarios.
Yeah, because there were, like, the fantasy scenarios were really cool. There was, like, this one where she was, like, fighting giant, like, demon shogun warriors, you know, and, like, Discount David Carradine was in it.
Well, it's funny you bring him up, because that's exactly, my brain was going to Kill Bill also. And because again, I'm like, okay, so Kill Bill, see, that's an extended cut I want to see, because I've already enjoyed everything about Kill Bill and Kill Bill Part 2. Now I want to see the whole bloody affair. And, you know, because immediately when I'm reading, I'm like, okay, animated sequence. It sounds very Kill Billy type of thing.
Well, and that's where it came. So that's the other thing is, like, you know, at the time, you know, Kill Bill is still, like, 1 and 2 is still one of my favorite movies of all time, right? So we're coming off of Kill Bill. We're coming off of 300 and Sin City. And, you know, those movies,
stylized violence.
Yeah, you know, Zack Snyder, I believe I think he just did Watchmen, which I enjoyed, you know. So, like, there was a lot of, like, good buzz around this movie that should have worked.
He had the water coolers buzzing.
Yeah. But it's like, you know, like, if you were a fan of those things, in theory, this was your cup of tea. Like, they were, like, this was the audience.
Should have been.
Right, should have been. This is the audience you were targeting, the same audience, and you just, like, swung, missed, let go of the bat, and hit some poor lady in the 4th row.
Oh, that's so basically your brief review before we deep dive into Sucker Punch, which isn't even today's show, is basically it's a stylized Gallagher show.
It kind of, like, yeah.
Watch out, you're gonna get watermelon on you.
Like, it was just this, yeah. It's like,
y'all want to smash some fruit?
Yeah. God,
I'll smash some fruit with you.
This movie.
Yeah. This movie smashes fruit, not much else.
Yeah, this movie was a 14-year. Like, what movie did we watch that we compared it to, like, this was some 14-year-old boy's, like, fantasy.
I mean, we've watched a lot of movies that could be categorized as that.
I know. It was recent, I feel like, where we watched this movie where it was just like...
Was it an action movie?
I think it might have been. Oh, I think we meant it in an endearing way, but I think that's how we described Mad Max, Fury Road.
Possibly.
Where it was
my brain went to Grandma's Boys because we did that recently, and that seemed also very similar.
Yeah, it was closer to how I felt about Grandma's Boy. But it was just like some 14-year-old boy wrote Sucker Punch. And it was just like, yeah, and these hot chicks are in schoolgirl uniforms and they got samurai swords and they're going to fight dragons.
You see, here's the thing, Zack Snyder. When you have your children write movies, you might want to go talk to Robert Rodriguez because his kids wrote The Shark Boy and Lava Girl, but they weren't supposed to be taken serious either.
Yeah. Also, that's a kid's
They were
movie.
in 4 fucking D, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. That's like, it's really, I always feel bad for kids' movies when they get judged with adult movie lenses. Because, like, I watched the Madagascar films, right? There's 3 Madagascar films. They're animated movies.
I know what they are. I didn't know there was 3.
Yeah, there's 3 of them. And so the first one is an enjoyable family movie, and the second one is also an enjoyable family movie, and the third one was I couldn't stand it. But the problem was, like, as an adult, I could sit there and be like, I don't like this movie. This is not a good movie. Right. But I also know it's not a good movie for adults because every 20 minutes there was conflict, resolution, move on, right? So you could watch this movie with a very short attention span because, like, while there is an overall arching plot of this movie, it's just broken up into all of these little segments so that, you know, someone who's 6 years old, who this movie is supposed to be for, could, like, watch the movie, get bored, run around for 5 minutes, hop back in, and pick up what's happening. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's unfair for me to judge that movie analytically and be like, well, the story structure and character development for the hippopotamus was not...
What you're saying is basically what we did with The Lion King and Onward?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
It's funny. I saw the last 10 minutes of the first Madagascar probably over 40 times.
Yeah.
Because I was working at a movie theater when it came out.
Okay.
And it came out the same week as Kung Fu Hustle, which is in the archives. And that was the movie I would sit through and watch. But because I was an usher in the theaters, you'd have to go through and check and make sure everybody's out, make sure all the trash is cleaned up, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So I would watch Kung Fu Hustle. And then I'd catch the last 10 minutes of Madagascar. And all I know is Chris Rock was one of the animals.
Yeah, he was the zebra.
Okay. I
King Julian, King Julian, who's the lemur, hilarious.
Yeah. We will get to Last Boy Scout eventually.
Yeah. The penguins, also hilarious. You know, but everybody else, like, it's just like, again, it's a kids movie. You know,
well, it felt like, and the fact that you said there was 3 of them, it feels very much kind of like how I feel about the Shrek franchise.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, I'm sure both of them I know Shrek made a shitload of money. It's why Eddie Murphy doesn't have to work anymore. Yeah, but like, I'm sure Madagascar made just as much. I'm sure there are, but it's like, and I'm sure they each
Shrek
get
movies.
Worse.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, you know, we talked I think it was on the show. I know we definitely talked off air about our feelings about Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
But even so, even as much as we really didn't like the movie, it's still a hell of a lot better than almost any of the other franchise sequels outside of the Disney company.
Yeah. The thing with Toy Story 4, I think more than anything is it's Toy
Not
Story
enough Duke
3.
Kaboom.
Yeah, first of all, not enough Duke Kaboom. But, I mean, look, if we're being honest, any movie could use more Keanu.
True.
But, like, you needed to pick one or the other for Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
Because you have real Toy Story 3, and then you have Toy Story 4, which is really just alternative Toy Story 3.
Right.
You know, and it feels like that's
this
why
is what happens when Biff Tannen gets a hold of the almanac and he changes the course of history. You get Toy Story 4. Are you happy, world?
Yeah, yeah. And the worst part is we got some sort of weird hybrid where the universes are merging. God,
Oh, shit. All right. You ready for The Last Boy Scout?
Yeah, let's do The Last Boy Scout.
All right. Action movie quarantine rolls on with The Last Boy Scout.
This ain't no game, Flash.
Joe Hallenbeck's a private detective who's run out of luck.
If you touch me again, I'll kill you.
2 for 2.
Told you.
Jimmy Dix
I like Prince.
is an ex-quarterback who was thrown out of football.
Another tragic tale of wasted youth. You're nobody. Shh. Don't tell anyone.
They were trying to clean up their acts
You vacuum, I'll dust.
when they got dragged into the dirty world of sports corruption.
So you're gonna bribe some senators to legalize again? Legalize.
Sports gambling. Now,
Son, we're going to a ball game.
they've got one shot
What am I gonna do? Point at the bad guys and shoot!
to get the goods on the bad guys.
Just once, I would like to hear you scream.
Play some rap music. Not about these, man. Take your best shot.
If they don't kill each other first.
That was a bomb? Either that or a hell of a factory recall.
Bruce Willis, Damon Wayans, The Last Boy Scout.
Danger's my middle name.
Mine's Cornelius. Don't tell anybody I kill you.
The Last Boy Scout. Okay, that trailer. Fun fact about the voice of that trailer, Don LaFontaine, who I'm sure you know.
Hero.
I had the pleasure when I was running one of my Hollywood videos to meet Mr. LaFontaine because he voiced all of our promotional material.
Yeah,
He was a delight, and that voice is real.
Yeah. My favorite thing
That's
about
not a
him-
skill. You're born with that.
Oh yeah, you just have that voice. Pablo Francisco does the Don LaFontaine trailer voice thing. If
Yep.
you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube. It's spot on. It's so funny. But yeah, he is the voice of trailers, and it's sad. Like, look, it's a good thing that we don't have that sort of thing anymore. Like for trailers
In a world.
but it's like I do miss that. I wish that some movies would have those trailers.
Also in a non-ironic way.
Right.
Like they were completely serious about making those trailers like that.
Yeah.
They wanted you to
Yeah.
feel like every movie coming out with his voice on it was a fucking event.
Yeah. Ethan Hunt is an operative for MI. Then that's it, not MI6, because that's the British version. But
That's James Bond, I think.
after being betrayed, he
Not
has to
James Bond.
Yeah. He has to prove his innocence to his country while solving the man who blackmailed him. Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible.
Tom Cruise lived through this movie. All right, The Last Boy Scout. It was released December 13th, 1991. It had a budget of $43 million, made $114.5 million at the box office. Let's see. It was written by Shane Black. It was directed by Tony Scott. It was produced by Joel Silver, and it stars Bruce Willis, Damon Wayans, Taylor Negron, Danielle Harris, and a bunch of other characters. First of all, just listing off those names in order,
Yeah.
this was the peak of these types of action movies. You have, the writer of Lethal Weapon,
Yep.
the director of Top Gun,
Yep.
the star of Die Hard, and the guy that produced all of them.
Yeah.
And In Living Color was huge.
Right.
Most people now in 2020 will not realize, but they were going into their second or third year at 1991, and Damon Wayans was the biggest thing on late night television at that point.
Yeah.
It was literally taking numbers from Saturday Night Live, which again, now not a big thing, but back then that was like, I think, the Will Ferrell era.
Yeah, so the Will Ferrell, no, 91 would still be Sandler, and
Even so, it was still like it was a big deal that In Living Color was making noise. And that and Married with Children basically made the Fox network.
Right. I mean, that's the type of thing that you're talking about with how big of a star Damon Wayans is, or all the Wayans were, because you're talking about an SNL cast that consists of Chris Farley, David Spade, Mike Myers, Chris Rock. You know, like there's so that's like one of the best SNL casts, and In Living Color is taking viewership away from that cast. So yeah, that's awesome. I mean, they're fantastic. They're responsible for Don't Be a Menace While Drinking Gin and Juice in the Hood, which is a hilarious movie, as well as the first two Scary Movies.
Mo Money,
Major Pain. Like these movies are funny movies. They're funny guys. This movie was surprisingly a lot better than I thought it was going to be. You look at the scores, you never really heard about it. I had only heard about it in reference to you saying that this is the actual fourth Die Hard movie.
It's the second best Die Hard movie.
It is most definitely the second best Die Hard
and
movie.
After doing my research, I also realized that basically it's the third best Lethal Weapon.
Oh, it's definitely dare I say, the third best.
Because a lot of what Shane Black put into this script was taken from his Lethal Weapon scripts.
Yeah.
Another fun, there's a shitload of weird trivia attached to this. So Shane Black, at the time, set the record for highest paid spec script with Last Boy Scout. He was offered $2.25 million by Carlico Pictures, but decided to go with Warner Brothers for $1.75 million so that he could work with Joel Silver again, he produced Lethal Weapon. But still, that set the record for highest script. Joe Esterhaus got so pissed off because he held the record that in like 4 weeks he wrote Basic Instinct and sold it for $3 million. That's why we got Basic Instinct, because he was pissed he didn't have the highest paid script in Hollywood at the time.
That's so funny.
Really also, funny. The original title for Last Boy Scout was Die Hard. Joel Silver went to his friend Shane Black and said, "Hey, I got this other movie with this really bad title. I forget what it was called, like Tonight Never Lasts or something like that. Can I take Die Hard?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure. Here you go." And that's how Die Hard became the title Die Hard. Because again, everybody's working together. Yeah,
100%. This movie, like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I think it kind of got lost in the annals of time.
Here's what Last Boy Scout is. It has kind of gotten lost because it's a bygone era. It's a style of a bygone era. But it's exactly as advertised.
Yeah.
It is. You take Lethal Weapon and Die Hard and you put them together. You got wisecracking throughout the entire movie. It's action. It's blow 'em ups. It's absurdity. The whole thing is ludicrous.
This is the type of movie that we're talking about, where
guns, cigarettes, and strippers. And pro football.
But this is the type of thing that like when you're locked in your house, this was a good movie to watch. If you've never watched it, this is the type of thing where it's like, I literally have 8 hours to kill while I'm up. Let's watch something. This is a something.
Yeah, there's 100 minutes that will take up some fun time for you. Another funny thing I found while doing a very little bit of research after watching it, the process, the production was horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans hated each other.
Yeah, well, I feel like Bruce Willis is tough to deal with.
I gathered that as well. But not only them, the entire production was so... like everyone who's been interviewed about The Last Boy Scout says, with the exception of Daniel Harris, who was a child at the time, says it's the worst experience they ever had. Basically, and it's summed up very, very smartly. Basically, you had, again, as I mentioned, Shane Black coming off of Lethal Weapon, Bruce Willis coming off of Die Hard, Tony Scott coming off of Top Gun, Joel Silver coming off of all of them. It was very 90s testosterone, everyone at the peak of their powers.
Yeah, we were oiled up in volleyball way.
Yeah, and nobody wants to. Everybody's got their own ideas about it. Nobody wants to fucking budge on their ideas because they're the star and they're the important one and this and that.
Right.
And apparently, they went through like 4 or 5 different editors. The movie was like up until the very last editor who they brought in to basically paste it together. It was unwatchable. It was the guy who they brought in was also brought in to fix Tango and Cash and Demolition Man. So he was basically the action movie fixer. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Warner Brothers token action movie fixer. Like we have a movie, we got stars, but we also have a mess of film.
Fix?
Do something. Paste.
Yeah.
Like he said literally like every piece of footage he got when he showed up had slices in it. That's like how many people had come through and cut the film.
Oh jeez.
It was insane that they and that's the fucked up thing because we watch it and it's like it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You would never know that the entire production cast hated working on this.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough. I mean, it's really tough when I've worked on movies where there doesn't appear to be a vision.
Right.
And when that starts to happen, you know, especially when it's coming from the top, right? When it's coming from the top and the person that's supposed to have the vision just straight up doesn't.
Well, the bitch of it in situations like this is like you get clicks that form. Like Shane Black and Tony Scott have both gone on record as saying that the original Shane Black script was wildly better than the movie that came together. And it was Bruce Willis and Joel Silver's side of it that won out because Joel Silver has the money.
Yeah, right.
There was also the fact that the original script was much more about Joel Hallenbeck saving his wife. And Bruce Willis didn't want to do it because, well, I just did that in Die Hard. Yeah. So they minimized the wife part of it. There was also the original script was wildly darker. The Milo character played by Taylor Negron was not only an assassin hired by Shelley Marcone, he was also a snuff film director who would film kidnapped girls being tortured and murdered, and this was all in the script.
Yeah, yikes.
So I mean, the original cut, even though they didn't film any of that stuff, even the original cut, much like we talked about on our RoboCop thing, they still had to tone down the violence because it got an NC-17 at the time.
Yeah. All I can think of from Taylor Negron is he was in Angels in the Outfield.
He is, I believe, the quintessential that guy.
He is one of them.
I mean, he played the pizza guy in Fast Times. Yeah. He was the mailman in Better Off Dead.
I believe he was in Three Ninjas, which was a very fun movie that I enjoyed.
Was that the one with Hulk Hogan?
He was in the fourth one. Wow. I believe this guy was in the first one.
Come on, brother.
I know. No. Nope. Unless
Taylor Negron. I mean, Angels in the Outfield, you were right on that one. Biodome. He died a few years ago.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you go to his IMDb, he's got 131 acting credits. And his last one was 5 years ago. So he started in 1979 in the TV series Last Resort on an episode as Armando.
He was bad.
He was one of those fun actors where, again, he was that guy. Like, he'd pop up and stuff, and I think it was just the way he carried himself. He was always kind of like I don't know, like
smarmy.
Great, yes, perfect. Smarmy is the perfect way to describe every Taylor Negron character, including Milo.
Yeah, he's kind of sleazy. He's not intimidating but dangerous.
It's one of those things, like, he should have been, when you look back at a lot of his credits, again, like, I know him from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Right.
He should have been an extra. Like, that shouldn't have been a memorable part. Like, that part was more about Sean Penn getting a pizza delivered, not the actual guy delivering the pizza, but you remember the guy delivering the pizza.
Yeah, right.
You know, like Better Off Dead, when the John Cusack's younger brother gets his mail delivered, he's the mailman. And you shouldn't, it's more about the little brother getting a magazine called How to Pick Up Trashy Women, not about the guy delivering the magazine called How to Pick Up Trashy Women, but you remember him. You know,
right?
It's one of those things. I guess he is the definition of there is no small parts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like he made the most of every role he was on.
Yes,
consummate day actor.
Yeah.
So Last Boy Scout. Let's jump into it. Second best Die Hard. Third best Lethal Weapon.
So this movie, I didn't realize I had seen the beginning of it until I rewatched it. Because I remember watching this movie and it starts with the football game, right?
Yep.
And
Mr. Tybo himself, Billy Blanks.
Yeah. And all of a sudden this is just like, you know, he gets this phone call and I'm like, oh, what is happening? And then all of a sudden this dude just pulls out a gun and starts shooting people. And I thought that I was going to be watching a football movie, you know, because this was back before we had, you know, TV guides on everything and all that stuff. So,
oh, you mean when you first watched?
When I first watched this movie back in like 95, yeah, 95, 98, you know, and I'm just like, what is happening? And this guy straight up just like murders a bunch of people, scores a touchdown, and kills himself. And I was like,
scores a touchdown.
Yeah. I was like, what? What is happening?
He threw 4 9mm blocks.
Yeah, he did. Look, I would just say that Tom Brady would throw a lot more passes or touchdowns if he didn't get, you know, if he used that technique.
I did like basically the bootleg Hank Williams Jr. version of "Are You Ready for Some Football?"
Yeah, like
I mean, it's so weird. Like there's truth in every bit of fiction, right?
Right.
The way, and I should say the awful way, professional football has been displayed in movies for so many years.
Yeah.
You gotta wonder how really filthy the organization really is. Like, and this is just this is 3 minutes and he's the lead bad guy. The commissioner of the league is the lead bad guy. And you don't find out till way into the movie.
So you want to know how terrible everything is? The ESPN show Playmakers.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of this?
I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
So first of all, it's fantastic. It was really great, but it only got 1 season. And the reason it only got 1 season is because it depicted real NFL things that people had it took a bunch of stories and stuff that people had been dealing with, and it focused on there was one player that was addicted to, I want to say cocaine, but
is it a scripted show?
Yeah, it was a scripted show.
Oh wow.
And so there was that. There was a character that was dealing with the fact that he was gay, and he was hiding that from people, and you didn't want to get that out. And then another person paralyzed a guy, and dealing with the repercussions of that. And so it was very real and very raw. And the NFL was like, ESPN, we won't give you the rights to Monday Night Football if you keep this show on. And so, they canceled the show so that they could either keep or get the rights to
Monday Night Football.
Well,
you think about it. And while you were talking, I was just kind of racking my brain for football movies. I mean, okay, you got even not pro. College, The Program, one of my favorite football movies with James Caan. Not a great outlook on football on a whole. Any Given Sunday. Even The Replacements, a fun movie that we covered in the archives, The Replacements.
Yeah.
The pro football section of it are assholes. They're the ones on strike.
Yes. Yeah.
Johnny Utah's just on his boat.
Yeah, he's just a dude that cleans barnacles off of boats.
You know what I mean? The pro football players are the ones dumping his truck and being assholes. It's I don't know if there's ever been a positive, and I mean as a whole, a positive.
There's only one. That is the only one.
Don't say Brian's song.
No. It's the only one that's actually been sponsored or they were allowed to use the NFL, and that's Draft Day.
Okay, I haven't seen that one. Kevin Costner, right?
Kevin Costner. That's the only uplifting one because the NFL tried to you know how they had that concussion movie or whatever?
The Will Smith one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember they got all kinds of pissed off about
Yeah,
that.
they got all kinds of pissed off, and so they tried to make like an uplifting one and came up with Draft Day, which is like about the Cleveland Browns drafting people.
Well, while we're talking football, it just reminded me. Did you see the Barstool Dave Portnoy won the fucking thing with Goodell?
Oh,
I'm not a huge Barstool guy, but I mean, you couldn't turn on the internet without seeing that.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm not a huge Barstool guy either. I think that they're very good at what they do, and I think would be a fine company to work for. There's just certain aspects of it that, like,
I just see like he's turned this little, what was a rag at one time into a $100 million some odd dollar company, and I'm looking at him like he just spent $250,000 to sit in Goodell's man cave and watch Monday Night Football. And that's the type of obnoxious, irresponsible shit I would do with money if I had it.
Right. And it's like, here's the thing. They're going to be having that pay-per-view, I believe, this Sunday, right? Depending on when this drops. So we're recording on a Saturday, so it's not this tomorrow. It's the next Sunday, where Phil Nicholson, Tiger Woods, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady are having like a golf tournament on pay-per-view or something.
I knew it was a thing. I didn't know it was a pay-per-view. You have to pay to watch them play golf?
Yeah, you have to pay to watch them play golf, right? They've already done this once before. I don't know how much it costs. I don't care.
Pay to watch golf?
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care enough about that to even.
Is there a subscription service like WWE Network I can pay $10 to just watch golf all day?
Yeah, probably the golfnetwork.com. I don't know. I'm not a golf person. That's not my area of expertise.
They call it golf.
But it's like, look, here's the thing. If you told me that I could, like, if you're the NFL, $5. Being able to watch the live stream of Portnoy and Goodell in the man cave watching Monday Night Football costs $5. Yeah, of course I would pay $5 to see that.
Well, I mean, knowing what I know about him, there's going to be some sort of recording. It doesn't matter if Goodell's gonna have to bring in the goddamn CIA to sweep that place for bugs. But just the fact that he's first of all showing up in that fucking obnoxious blue clown T-shirt is you get $10 out of me for that.
Right. And it's just
I'm not even a guy who sits and watches football every Monday night, but I would damn sure watch that reaction video to a football game.
Yes, I would. 100%. I would pay $5 to just watch that.
There you go. $5.
5 to 10. 5 to 10. I would max out at 15, maybe.
Yeah, I think I would max out at 15.
But that's the type of thing. It's just like, oh my God, NFL.
If it was 15, I might go in with a bunch of people.
Yeah, right. Like, look, here's the deal.
Everyone chipping $1.
Yeah, everybody chipping $1, and we'll just, put it on one account.
There you go. We have been off on tangents today. So, okay. Billy Cole, a.k.a. Billy Blanks, shoots himself in the head. We are still in the opening scene of this movie.
Yeah, let's burn through this.
Let's get through it. So we jump cut right to... do we go to Jimmy Dix in his Coke party, or do we go to Joe Hallenbeck passed out in his car?
I think we go to I think it's him passed out in his car.
Okay, and the kids throw a dead squirrel on him.
Yeah, because he's like a private investigator, and we allude that he's like a Secret Service agent for something.
Look, he's John Mcclane.
Yeah, it's John Mcclane.
We don't need to explain his backstory. He saved the president once. He punched out a senator because he was beating up a woman in a bathroom. And now he's a private eye who's also an alcoholic who smokes a lot of cigarettes and is very funny. John Mcclane, everybody.
John Mcclane. Yeah.
Now he's called Joe Hallenbeck, but that's just because he had to change his name to move out to L.A. It was a whole thing with his wife, Nakatomi. Never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. He's in witness protection.
Ish. Okay, so... Yeah, he gets a phone call from his buddy, who's played by D-Day from Animal House, and he's like, I got a case for you. It's a stripper who I would chop off 3 fingers to fuck her. And
it's Halle Berry.
And it's Halle Berry, by the way.
It's Halle Berry.
I believe...
She didn't have dogs this time, and I was sad about it.
Tony Scott wanted Grace Jones for the role. Joel Silver insisted on Halle Berry.
Yeah, well, he made the right choice.
I say good. I have a lot of issues with the strip club scene just because of it. Every time I see a strip club scene in a movie, I'm like, has anyone in this production ever been to a strip club?
Probably not.
The costumes these girls put on are so elaborate. Like, okay, I've been to a bunch in multiple countries. I've never once seen a costume.
Aside
from Halloween.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I was very disappointed because when I did finally go to my first strip club, having this information of like costume changes and elaborate dance numbers, I was very disappointed. Also, I was triply disappointed because the first strip club I ever went to was in Vegas.
Oh.
And look, it was nice. It was a nice strip club, but
she was a nice lady.
She was a nice lady, right? But my buddy pulled out his own tooth. It was a weird night. That's a Hangover reference.
I knew it was, but I also was like, did that actually happen? Because the Hangover, I'm convinced Todd Phillips has my life bugged. There was a lot of weird shit in there. Couch pizza was my goddamn thing.
My buddy took a prostitute back to his apartment and then, or not his apartment, to his hotel room, as you do, Vegas. But then was sharing that room with 3 other guys, and then
they knock on the door.
Yeah, well, they showed up and they were like, "What the fuck, man? Get out of here!" And they kicked him out. He still had to pay for the prostitute, and then disappeared for 2 days. We don't know what happened.
Interesting.
Yeah,
now,
but that's a story for another day.
Because we're on a public forum, name that man.
I don't know what he does for work.
This is the internet. Shame him.
No, trust me,
he spent 2 minutes in the box and felt shame.
Yeah,
literally.
He did
2 things.
He did. Got so drunk he tried to hand one of the strippers an ATM card. It was a time. It was a time. I'm
not gonna lie. I've seen a stripper get tipped with a cigarette before, and it wasn't ironic. It was. I think the exact wording was, "I don't feel like spending money on you. Here's a cigarette."
Yeah. But yeah, that's
good times. Good times.
I was very disappointed to find out that real strip clubs don't have like elaborate dance numbers,
choreography.
Yeah,
multiple wigs, chaps. I mean, did you see what she was wearing?
Look, yeah. I mean,
look. Here's the thing. It's one thing for Jessica Alba to do this routine in Sin City because Sin City is a comic book, but this is supposed to be somewhat based in reality. Pro football, senators, strip club, Eddie Griffin as the DJ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
What the hell? I think Hollywood wants everyone to believe there's a lot more cages in strip clubs than there ever are. Like the Golden Banana had them, but they're ironic. And now there's one in the lobby as like a memento of a bygone era.
Yeah, sure.
And they were kind of ironic when they were in use. Nobody actually took it. Like cage dancing wasn't a thing. Why are we spending so much time on a tangent of strip clubs? Damn it.
I don't know.
There's a whole Showgirls episode. Apparently people in India love it.
Yeah.
70,000 views on YouTube for some fucking reason.
Weird. It's a weird thing.
Anywho. So yeah, Jimmy Dix is at his Coke party. Why he's at a team party, and I kind of agree with the asshole in the hut tub, despite the fact he's trying to drown a girl. He was kicked off the team, and apparently, like not recently.
Yeah, it seems that like his issues of like gambling and stuff was like
gambling and drugs.
Yeah, it's like this is a thing you've had. Like you're off the team. You don't get to come to team functions because you're not in high school anymore, right?
Well, I mean, basically, he's Pete Rose of this movie.
Yes,
he got caught because the whole crutch of the movie is so that Shelley Marcone, the owner of the LA Stallions, great name, can get sports gambling legalized. That's why he's trying to pay off Senator Boehner, who is the antagonist for Bruce Willis's character, because he was the one in the bathroom beating up the woman.
Correct. It all ties together in a very fun way, but yeah.
Football.
Yeah, football. So yeah, it feels like he's been out of the league for a while.
Yeah, especially when it's revealed in the strip club that Bruce Willis knows who Damon Wayans is. And then Damon Wayans realizes that he knows because he just starts rattling off his stats. And these stats don't seem recent.
Yeah, no.
You know, because I think he even said like 88 to 89 or 88 to 90 or something like that. It's been at least a year. He's been out for at least a year, but he still has the number shaved into the back of his head. He's still living out that I'm a football player. I get it. It was your one thing. But going to the party and being a dick about it, like, Yeah, that guy's trying to drown a girl, but it's none of your business, man.
Yeah, right. None of your business.
He's still on the team. You know what I mean?
Right.
Also, I don't know. There's a lot of nitpicking I could do. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So yes,
because Joe takes the job, the private investigator job from Halle Berry because his buddy Mike, who was fucking Joe's wife, gets blown up in the very early in the movie.
Yeah.
Moving along. So there was a moment when I was rewatching it today that I was like, what's happening here? And it was in this scene. So we go from Jimmy Dix, who's Damon Wayans, getting pissed off with Joe Hallenbeck, Bruce Willis. And then he gets so pissed off, he grabs Halle Berry off stage and he goes, get your shit together. We're leaving.
Yes.
Joe Hallenbeck leaves, gets assaulted, misidentification. They think he's somebody else. But anyway, he gets knocked out one of the many times Bruce Willis gets knocked out in the back of the head and dragged away. Then we cut to a scene which appears to be Damon Wayans and Halle Berry in their apartment on the couch, drinking champagne, about to have sex. Then we cut back to them leaving the club as if that all happened in some weird romantic back room of a strip club. And I'm like, I get it. You needed that exposition about his dead kid.
Yeah.
But you did it in a weird, again, I feel that I mentioned earlier on in the podcast that there was a lot of editing issues. And I feel that this was just one they had to leave in.
Yeah, it was something.
It doesn't make sense. Move on.
Yeah, we just needed to throw this. This was a champagne room. They're drinking champagne. Let's go.
It was so weird because they were clearly lounging about at home.
Yeah, clearly.
Also, movies make it seem like throwing and breaking champagne glasses after one sip is a real thing. It's not.
Yeah, no.
Like, have you ever taken a glass, drink of champagne and be like, that was delicious. Throw a glass into the goddamn fireplace like Thor with his coffee. Give me another one.
Yeah, right. Right. I would like another.
So we move on.
Yeah, and so now all nonsense is happening.
So many one-liners. Like we could do a whole podcast on just Bruce Willis's one-liners in this movie, and 47 of them come in this weird scene in the back alley. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to bring up. It was clear this whole sequence was clearly shot in a back lot. Yeah, and there's always something about I can always immediately identify back lots. Right, but it's like they look way too clean but it's like you try to make it look like a dirty place, right? And also there's never any depth to them. No,
and there's always a weird turn in the alley
and smoke.
Yeah,
smokiest streets ever. It's like, if you need neon and smoke, we got you covered, bro.
Yeah, we got a backlot. Dude, we have a backlot for you.
This is called Crack Alley on the Universal lot.
Yeah.
I designed it myself.
Yeah, we have Smack Alley in the around the corner.
Around the corner. It's a little dirtier.
But
yeah, so Halle Berry gets killed.
Yeah, she gets murdered.
And now Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis are on the case.
Yeah, they're on the case. They got to help.
Another fun connecting the dots of all of these people that I completely forgot until I was just looking at my screen here. So, again, we mentioned Shane Black wrote Lethal Weapon.
Right.
Danielle Harris, Bruce Willis's daughter in the movie, is actually watching a scene from Lethal Weapon.
Oh, fun.
And then in 2016, when they rebooted Lethal Weapon, Damon Wayans plays Roger Murtaugh.
That's right.
Weird.
And he hated his co-star in that, too.
It's true. So much so he got him fired.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy was also kind of a weird asshole. There was stuff about him, but whatever. Not that Lethal Weapon show. Also, Mel Gibson was offered the role of John McClane.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I did know that.
In Die Hard. And Bruce Willis was offered the role of Martin Riggs.
Yeah, and I think
these guys have just been circling the same goddamn pond for a decade.
Yeah, yes, that sounds about right.
80s and 90s, you couldn't get away from Silver, Black, Willis, Mel Gibson.
Yeah, and they're all doing the same thing. Yeah, we're wisecracking.
It works. Copy, paste, put a 2 on the title.
Yeah, right.
It's like the producer in True Romance, which is also a Tony Scott movie in the 90s. And I believe Joel Silver produced it. where he's like, yeah, we're gonna do a sequel to Coming Home with a Body Bag. What's that title they like? Body Bags 2.
Yeah.
Got more taste in my penis. Anyway, we are at almost an hour. Let's get through this movie.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we yada through a bunch of like wisecracking and like
They get
snark
captured a lot.
all the time. It's a lot of capture and release.
Yes.
There's a lot. It's a lot of cock teasing.
Yeah.
Is what's happening here. They elude a car bomb at some point.
Well, yeah. Well, so basically, because apparently Milo likes bombs. He likes C4. C4 plastic explosives, which was just such an 80s and 90s way to say a bomb.
Yeah, it was.
Every action movie that needed a bomb was like, it's C4 plastic.
Yeah. Well, it's because we couldn't have the big bowling ball with the X on it.
It's because we didn't have the internet. We didn't know how any of this shit worked.
It's true.
Like, think about it. Die Hard. Same thing. C4, we need the detonators and all the stuff. Like, the whole movie was about detonators. And John Mcclane just knew how to set it up. He put those pins in this block and tape it to a computer on a chair and throw it down the fucking thing and it blows up, apparently. You don't need a remote or anything. It just goes. Fuck it, man.
Yeah.
So Mike gets blown up in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
And then Bruce Willis realizes that Halle Berry has 2 cars. And since Milo likes blowing people up, the other car must be wired for a bomb. So he finds the bomb. And then again, 2 random ass henchmen come to fucking, again, I think we just needed bad guys to kill in this movie. Because they have no backstory, no nothing. They're not mentioned anywhere else. But okay, they're going to be mean. They're going to beat him up a little bit. They're going to smack him around. And Bruce Willis just kind of sticks the C4 block, which has C4 written on it, so you know it's a bomb, sticks it to a piece of the bumper. And so, of course, if you can't open the trunk of the car with keys because they threw him down a hill, shoot it.
Yeah, right. Of course. Boom and a boom. Yes.
Boom. Smoke some cigarettes, move on to the next scene.
Yeah, right. We get some backstory where we find out, a little bit more about why he was discharged from the Secret Service.
Yeah.
And he was like...
smacked around a senator.
Yeah.
Because the senator was smacking around a woman in a bathroom. She was all chained up to a shower. It was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, he was just...
No judgment.
Yeah, just torturing a lady, casually, I guess.
Do your thing, man. Get your freak on.
Yeah. Whatever. As long as the safe word is banana.
Apparently the original script called for a different reason for Joe Hallenbeck being discharged from his job. Baynard was the president, not a senator, and his son killed a mother and a child in a drunk driving accident, and Bruce Willis wouldn't cover it up, so they fired him. And Senator Baynard, or President Baynard, and his son were the actual main villains, and both of them died at the end.
Oh, okay.
Little different movie now.
Yeah, little different.
Little less depressing.
Yeah,
just a light smacking a hooker in a shower type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Knock out a few of his teeth, move along. Let's get to the jokes.
Yeah, we got too much wisecracking for it to be that serious,
There's very little one-liners that will make people laugh about drunk driving deaths.
Yeah.
Let's just make it a hooker in a shower, okay? Cool. Go ahead. Move it.
Yeah. Give me also, it's the 90s, so it's a high target victim. It's a hooker. Who cares?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving on.
So Jimmy Dix gets thrown off of an overpass onto a car.
Yeah.
And lives.
Yeah. Somehow lives.
Bruce Willis gets kidnapped again.
Of course.
They get into a little tussle at some point because, and we get the roll credits moment where they're at Joe Hallenbeck's house.
Oh yeah.
The daughter is just a colossal bitch like her mother, because women in action movies. And so Jimmy Dix goes to the bathroom and for some reason feels the need to take his shirt off when he does coke in Joe's bathroom. Like, that was the weirdest part of that whole thing. Not the fact that he went to the bathroom with a bag of random pills and cocaine and he was trying to snort it off his thumb and Joe punched him in the mouth, but the fact that Damon Wayans had no shirt on in that scene. It's like,
yeah, what? Why did you feel the need to take that off to do drugs?
Where was that? Like, even if you spill a little bit, you just
Yeah.
You just brush that shit off, man. I eat sandwiches. I get crumbs. You just knock that shit off, man.
Knock that shit off. Sweep it up later.
Why get the shit? Anyway, so we get he signs. Daniel Harris comes out. Yeah, it comes out. Sign my card, and he signs it to the daughter of the last Boy Scout.
Oh, roll credits.
So moving along.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we are in the final plot reveal of this movie.
You have to be.
Right?
You have to be. Because I think Joe's been kidnapped 4 times.
Yeah, something like that.
Basically, Shelley Marcone owns the LA Stallions.
Yes.
He's trying to pay off Calvin Baynard, who's a senator, to legalize sports gambling. Yes. And Calvin Baynard came back to Shelley Marcone wanting more money.
Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah. Oh, which is really funny because this number stuck out to me. I think he wanted $6 million, which I think is really funny because that's so 1991. That's the Dr. Evil asking for $1 million.
Oh,
And
shit,
it's
man.
just,
What,
we don't
cash?
have we don't have that kind of money. It's 1969. That's.
So Shelley basically does the line, it's just easier to kill the son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Of course it is. And you know what the best way to assassinate a senator is? At a football game with 70,000 witnesses.
Yeah, of course.
And a fucking sniper rifle.
Yeah.
But I guess they were going to try to. Oh no, they weren't. Okay, so the sniper was the backup plan. Okay,
yeah.
That now it's coming back to me because they bring Joe out to the woods, and they have their photographer perched up in a tree taking pictures of Bruce Willis handing the briefcase to the senator's bodyguard, and that was supposed to be the payoff. But in a great fucking Bond villain type move, they distract him, and the trunk of the car rotates with a duplicate case with a bomb inside. Because C4 plastique.
yeah, C4 plastique. Because we just have those rotating trunks.
I love bad guys in action movies.
I just
and fucking Bruce Willis is sitting there like the rest of us staring at really? That shit just happened?
Yeah.
And he looks to Miley, goes, there's a bomb in that case. And he's like, yes, there is. And Bruce Willis lights a cigarette.
Yeah,
that's this movie.
That is this movie. Well, I guess it's Monday.
Well, you're not going to get me to cry over Calvin Baynard dying, but, that fucking trunk is cool.
You're right.
Bruce Willis, or Joe Hallenbeck, actually, another thing about him, doesn't like being touched too much, despite the fact that he's smacked around throughout this entire movie. He has that great, touch me again and I'll kill you.
Yeah.
That really only works once, but he says it 4 times.
Right.
It works with Kim Coates, who played Tig in Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
He plays a henchman. He was also in a henchman in Bad Boys. Very similar character.
He was.
Bad Boys is in the archives.
He's very similar in a lot of stuff.
It's basically he found his niche with Sons of Anarchy because he'd been playing that character in smaller parts throughout his career.
Right.
But yeah, so again, there was that. It was very subtle because he smacks Hallenbeck when he asks him for a light of a cigarette. Joe looks up, goes, I seem to have dropped my cigarette. And if you touch me again, I'll kill you. So he hands him a cigarette, smacks him again, and Kim Coates just looks up at his buddy and goes, 2 for 2. We got a 2 for 2. And boom.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Puts his nose into his brain.
Oh, it's brutal.
I guess is a real thing.
Yeah.
I don't know 100%, but all I do know is in 1991, this was 91.
Yes.
So let's see. I was 12, 12 maybe?
I was 2.
I'm not good at math right now. I might have been between 11 and 12.
I was 2.
You were 2. So I was between 11 and 12. And I just remember that moment stuck with me to the point that I never wanted to get hit in the nose. Not that anybody begs to be hit in the nose, but even if like I bumped my nose, I would get like all weirded out because this movie told me if my nose gets hit too hard, I die.
Yeah, right. That's the destruct button.
It's a self-destruct button.
It's a self-destruct button. You hit it too hard, it just dies. Yeah, I got you.
Like, and again, I've never done enough research to know if that's an actual thing. If that can actually.
Basically, I think that you just like you palm strike like up through the nose.
I mean, I saw what he did.
Yeah, and like the cartilage like goes into your brain and kills you. I don't know. That's at least the playground myth.
Activate instant kill.
Yeah, activate instant kill. So
that was a fun scene. That scarred me for life. Okay.
So now they're at the stadium.
They did the old switcheroo. There's a lot of, again, this movie is capture rescue.
Yeah.
So now, okay. So I'm trying to figure out how they captured and rescued this part. There was a big shootout in the woods. Oh, yeah. Because the daughter shows up in the woods as well. Everybody fucking knew where this hideout was in the middle of the wood, by the way.
Yeah, the daughter shows up and has a puppet or something.
With her furry Tom puppet. It's a cat. Yeah. And Bruce Willis, of course, being Bruce Willis, starts making dick jokes with the puppet. Meanwhile, he has a gun inside the puppet, which made it very interesting when you look back on it, being like, then how the hell was the mouth moving if his hand was on the gun? Because theoretically, your hand is like this inside the puppet. Right. if you're listening to this, I'm actually making the motion as if you're holding a gun, not an actual puppet motion that would require this.
Also,
you can't fit a gun in there with this.
Yeah, you would also. It's too long. Yeah. Like, how are you holding it? And
I get
You're
it.
Right. Movies.
That's not what it works.
Well, it was the 90s. It was the 90s. We didn't need that type of realism.
There wasn't Google or podcasts that would tear it apart.
Yeah.
If you wanted to nitpick it, the only people you bothered was the people at your dinner table.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, did you see that puppet scene in Last Boy Scout the other day? Dude, shut the fuck up and deal.
Yeah, right. Who cares? We don't.
This isn't a podcast. They haven't been invented yet.
Yeah,
right. 1991.
Yeah, shut up and eat your potatoes.
Shut up, Leonard Maltin, and deal.
Yeah. So they got to go to the stadium.
Yep.
Right. So because they got to rescue the daughter because she gets captured.
At a certain point, I love these action movies that I'm 100%. Now, again, I've never done any research on this, but I believe they make up certain weapons.
Sure.
And I believe the shredder shotgun shells are fictitious.
Yeah, sure.
Because the way Bruce Willis describes it can only be described by someone writing a movie, being like, this is the coolest thing I've ever written. It's a shotgun shell that explodes on impact. But if you throw it into a fire, it also explodes. And by the way he describes it doesn't justify the explosion later, because he says that tactical teams use these to blow doors. And that's where they get the exploding thing. Well, okay, you need a very small... First of all, you don't need an explosion if you're shooting a door with a shotgun.
Yeah,
it just kind of blows a hole pretty big into it. Yeah, anyway, if you do, you need a very small explosion. But when we're in Shelley Marcone's Bond villain office, which also happens to be in the fucking stadium, did you see that fireplace?
Yes, because for some odd reason we needed that in a stadium.
It was a 9-foot fireplace in an office in a stadium. It had a fish tank.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, you're a Bond villain. You're a Bond
villain. So we needed to create this fictitious shotgun shell so that we could pay off the explosion later when Damon Wayans tries to bluff his way out of this by saying, oh, the money's in a locker and I got the key right here, throws it into the fire, and then makes the comment, it's one of those new plastic keys, the ones that shred, which then, of course, Bruce Willis knows that means get the fuck down. And literally the room explodes.
Yeah. There's that explosion is also far too big for what he threw in the fire.
Seriously, like I said, even if this is a real thing, and I don't know if shredder shotgun shells are a real thing, I highly doubt it, but whatever. Even if they are, the tactical team using that to blow a door, the door would have to be the size of a house.
Yeah, and it would also need to be steel. Like you don't need that on a wooden door.
You would have to blow King Arthur's castle wall down to get that fucking explosion like that. It was obnoxious. Anywho.
Yeah, Michael Bay blushed a little.
He was what, all of 20 at the time? He's like, I see my future.
Great idea.
And I can do it bigger.
I can do it bigger. God, milk, bitch.
Is Mark Wahlberg born yet? Because I got an idea.
Oh, he's just in the Funky Bunch?
Wait.
Him
and The Rock.
Yeah, right.
They're not things yet, but they will be.
Yeah, that stupid Rocky Maivia. Him and his dumb pineapple hair.
You know that Rocky Johnson guy? His son's going to be huge.
Yeah, and his
pineapple hair.
Oh, God, he looks so dumb, but he'll look so good muscled and oiled.
Think of the Hulk Samoan.
Yeah, think of the Samoan Hulk. Or Hawaiian Hulk. I don't think we said Samoan yet. I think it was just like, everybody's Hawaiian.
They hadn't invented Samoa yet.
Yeah, Samoa hadn't been invented yet. It was
literally The Rock invented Samoa.
Yeah, it was like, no, you're just all Hawaiian, right? Is that you make the punch? Is that what happens?
Okay, so
so Joe and Milo are fighting.
Yeah, place explodes. Dude catches on fire. Bruce Willis grabs a shotgun, shoots a bunch of more people. Everybody's dead.
Yeah, everybody's dead.
Shelley Marcone escapes. Like the fattest, laziest son of a bitch in the room seems to escape with his life, briefly. So we get the plan. Okay, because the daughter's still with him. Yes. Of course she is. Jimmy gets shot in the hand. Which doesn't seem to affect his throwing arm later in the movie.
No.
So the Bruce Willis. Now you got me going with The Rock. Bruce Willis tells his daughter, "Go find a cop. Tell him you're my daughter." Doesn't seem to work out well because immediately he turns around and tries to cops try to arrest him because he's been framed with something. I don't know. The senator hasn't died yet, but he's already been framed with the murder. Anyway.
Yeah. Right.
Details. We just needed Bruce Willis to punch a few more people. Yeah. Anyway. Also, it's one of those movie tropes where the police never seem to even give a shit about the story that's being told to them. Look, I get it. You're supposed to arrest Joe Hallenbeck if he shows up. But he's saying there is an assassin with a sniper rifle getting ready to shoot Senator Boehner, and they don't even want to investigate.
Right. Like, they don't even pay attention to it. You know?
Shut up. You got a parking ticket, douchebag. It's like... Did you not hear what he just said?
Yeah. Hey, he said somebody's going to...
I don't care if he's lying. That's a weird fucking story that you might want to investigate.
Yeah. Right. Because I'm not going...
in the lights with a sniper rifle.
Also, it's, you arrest me, I still have, like, the whole trial and everything. So it's like, even if you put me in handcuffs, I'm not going to jail right now. You should still probably look into this.
At the best, I waste your time. At the worst, you don't look into it. The senator dies, and you're so fired.
Yeah,
because that's so coming out in my trial.
Oh yeah, I told them that.
Realism. Yeah. So he knocked out those cops. It didn't really matter. Jimmy goes down to the field, jumps on a horse.
Yeah, steals a ball.
Steals a ball, starts knocking players over because the game's still going on while the horse is in play.
Yeah, right. The
senator is yucking it up from his fucking luxury box. He's having a grand old time like he's watching the fucking ice capades. Milo is up in the lights as the backup plan because the bomb trick didn't work, obviously.
Yeah, clearly.
Joe gets up there, and right as Milo's about to shoot, Jimmy throws the football with his shot hand.
Right.
Anyway. Best arm in the National League, you dumb son of a bitch. It's actually Damon Wayans, actually. I'm not do it like my dice, but it was pretty good on a whim.
Yeah, right.
And the ball meets the bullet and actually stops it.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens because that's not how bullets work
balls.
Or balls. Like
anyway, Milo goes from silent assassin to Grand Theft Auto real fucking quick. He starts shooting players. He starts shooting fans. He shoots a helicopter. He's throwing all kinds of bullets away until he, of course, loses his bullets. It's weird. It's a weird trope because I know you're watching an action movie and the actual person shooting runs out of bullets.
I know. Weird.
What kind of gun is that runs out of bullets?
Especially in a 90s action movie.
So he throws the gun
Yeah.
at Bruce Willis and pulls his switchblade out.
Yes.
Because we're going to get weird.
Yeah.
Again, I feel this is holdover from his snuff film career. Anyway.
Right. I think you're right.
Very quick back and forth. Very well lit. I thought it was a very cool scene. Bruce Willis, of course, being Bruce Willis. I can see it now. Look. Jumped off the roof of Nakatomi, crashed through a window. It looked really cool. Let me jump off this thing on a chain link fence and crash into a bunch of glass because, it'll
look cool.
Because this is Die Hard 2.
Yeah, right.
Actually, Die Hard 2 was already made, so this is Die Hard 3.
Yeah, this is Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yes, which it really was. Okay, so Milo, how the fuck did he kill him?
He tosses his ass off the thing and gets chopped up by a helicopter.
Yeah, that's right. The police shot him a bunch, and then he gets thrown off, and because Bruce Willis hits the ground yelling, not me, because the person in the helicopter shooting can obviously hear that.
Yeah.
And then, he gets thrown into the helicopter blade because I guess the helicopter started to land in the field.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Because they were way up here shooting down and he was shooting up and then he fell off and hit the helicopter.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. All right,
it looks like this random civilian's got it under control. Let's land this fucker and watch the game.
Yeah, let's land on the 50 and see what happens.
And get some goddamn hot dogs.
Yeah.
So they saved the day.
Yeah, they saved the day and everybody's happy.
Everyone's happy. Everybody's laughing. Bruce Willis is dancing a jig because he had to pay off that joke.
Yeah.
Damon Wayans is on the field, still sitting on a fucking horse and laughing with the football players who nobody seems to give a shit of what just transpired. Okay?
Yeah, right. The funny part is that the football team doesn't know what's going on.
No, they just know that their former teammate is on a horse and there's a lot of shit blowing up around them. See, me, I don't care if I'm a big burly football player. I'm running my ass off.
Right. In all the commotion, the senator takes the briefcase.
My ass fuck out. Oh, no. During all of it, Shelley Marcone is hightailing it out of there, and Bruce Willis parked the stolen car right next to Shelley Marcone's car because convenience, and because that parking space was open while the game was already on. And Shelley Marcone looks in the back seat, sees the case, shoots the car, takes the case.
Right.
That's the case with the C4 plastique.
Yeah, correct. Not the money case, but thinks that it is.
The money case is in the trunk. And while we're having our end of Die Hard, everyone getting patched up with ambulances scene, they find the case with money. Shelley Marcone's house explodes. And everybody can see it. And everyone has a chuckle over it.
Yeah, they all laugh.
Literally, everyone. EMTs, police, Damon Wayans, the Bruce Willis, the wife who seems to be there for some reason, the daughter,
reconciled or something.
Everyone sees a giant explosion,
a nuclear explosion
in the middle of the Hollywood Hills, which you can see from the stadium.
Yeah,
only 2. Possibly the daughter, would be 3 people know what the fuck that is, or at least have an inclination of what that is. They don't know.
Well, here's the thing.
Everyone's laughing. Look at that. We're under attack.
You also wouldn't necessarily put those two things together.
No. Like, okay, so Shelley grabbed the wrong case. He's got the one with the bomb. See, maybe, instead of chuckling about literally exploding a neighborhood, because that bomb was way too big for just one house. Like a section of the Hollywood Hills blew up. That was at least 7 homes. Instead of chuckling, maybe be like, oh shit, Shelley Marcone has the bomb. You might want to get a patrol car to his boom. That would have been the logical thing.
Right.
Then you can laugh about it because at least you tried to do the right thing. Instead of being like, welp, he's dead.
Next time, freeze frame high five.
You know what's better than solving the case? Solving the case without a trial.
Right.
Everybody's dead.
Everybody's dead except me. Bum.
So yeah, and then we get our little epilogue where it's Damon Wayans playing catch with the daughter in the street. Bruce Willis has decided to shave. which means he's back to being a good person. He's back with his wife, who was fucking his best friend, by the way.
Died in a car explosion.
Happen, I guess. And then, the daughter is still kind of being her old self, cursing in front of him. And then, the mother gives mind your father. And now we're all fucking, I guess we're the fucking cleavers. And we get Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis walking away. And Bruce Willis is literally teaching Damon Wayans. I don't even think this was part of the script. I think this was just an outtake of them on set. He's teaching him how to be a 90s action guy. He's like, he literally says, these are the 90s. So when you hit somebody, you need to have a snappy comeback. Like if you hit someone with a surfboard, you say, surf's up, pal.
Yeah.
That's actually in the movie.
Yes, it is.
There's no way that's not just them sitting at lunch with the hot mic, pal.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
If they liked each other enough to eat lunch together, which they didn't, so I guess it was actually in the movie. It was just Bruce Willis show up 3 months later and did ADR, and Damon Wayans was like, well done at that point.
Yeah, I'm over this. But yeah, that's The Last Boy Scout.
That is The Last Boy Scout. Wow. We got it all in. Yeah. How about that? Funnily enough, so I went looking because I watched it on DVD. How'd you watch it?
I watched it streaming on BET Plus.
For free, or did you pay for that?
Free.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know that was a free service. Okay,
it's not, but I apparently have it on my cable package. So
there you go. BET Plus. If you want to watch it and you have cable and something, I don't know. You figure it out. They're not paying us. I did realize, because I went looking to be like, out of curiosity, is this available on Blu-ray? Kind of. It's only available on a 1-disc, 2-movie set with Last Man Standing, which is also a Bruce Willis movie.
Okay.
So it doesn't even get its own disc in a 2-pack.
No, I have a 4-pack of DVDs. It's got Joe Dirt 2 and Pixels and Grown Ups 2 and Here Comes the Boom.
What the best part about that pack is? None of them are action movies. Sorry, we can't do them, Eddie.
All right.
I was all in to give you that bone, but we committed to the action movie gimmick. Speaking of which, we haven't discussed it. What do you want to do? Kill Bill or Sucker Punch next week?
Let's do Sucker Punch.
All right. Next week here on That Movie Show, Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch. You see how things work out? Thank you for joining us on That Movie Show. Mike Wendt and Eddie McCabe. You can follow us on social media at Mike Wendt, at the Eddie McCabe. # That Movie Show. Let us know what you want us to review. If there's an action movie that you think, that would be funny to hear them make fun of, send us a tweet, send us a Facebook message, send us an Instagram, whatever the hell you want to get to us. You know how to get to us. Facebook.com/ThatMovieShowTV is also there for the videos, and we post links to stuff and blah, blah, blah. The archives and links to the audio podcast are at thatmovieshow.net. And as for the audio podcast, we are on every single podcast app. So it's very simple. You open up your favorite one, you type in That Movie Show, and you hit subscribe, and you tell a friend because you're a good person. We thank you for that. Eddie, any final thoughts?
No, I that sums it up. I'm going to have more thoughts next week with Sucker Punch.
I can't wait because I've actually never seen it.
Oh, God.
So I'm really looking forward to it because I've done that to you a bunch.
Okay, well,
I've had you watch a bunch. Grandma's Boys is a great example where it's like, I really like the movie, although this is a little different because you don't really like the movie.
Yeah.
But
no, strap in. Strap in.
First time viewing Sucker Punch next week on That Movie Show. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
That's Hooey Valley, Hooey Hollywood, where any office boy or young